Hey family, it's me, your girl Shalita, the Black Herbalista, back again for another episode of Healing and Homesteading. And today we're going to talk about diabetes and sweetness. Now, I know you already, when you think about diabetes, you're thinking about sugar, you're thinking about diet, you're thinking about the physical manifestations of diabetes. But today I want to get you to look at the underlying causes of diabetes that's more connected to our spiritual and emotional states of being. And when we think about, diabetes, the physical piece or the physical manifestation, we know that it's a disease of the pancreas, right? Because we know that's where insulin is created in the body. It was manufactured in the body. The issue comes in, like the spiritual and emotional component comes in, where we cannot break down or we cannot process sweetness. Like there's not enough sweetness in our lives, in our personal, professional, and our lives, period. There's a lack of sweetness or inability of our bodies to be able to break down sugar or accept sugar, accept sweetness. And, for me, when I was thinking about this, I'm like, wow, it makes perfect sense. You ever tell someone that it's hard for you to accept compliments? I know for me, I've getting used to or being in a state of receiving. Oh, I receive that when people give compliments or, okay, I'm working on that, but before it would be, I can't accept it. I got to send it back, or I got to give you a compliment too, because I need to take the attention off of me. I did not know how to process sweetness and sugar. And that is something that is really prevalent in our community for many different reasons, going back to the social, political states of being in our world. Our ancestors have always had to fight, have always had to figure out ways to survive so that we can be here. And those ways weren't so sweet, right? We couldn't afford to trust people's uh, compliments or what they said that they were going to do for us or what they were going to give us, the sweetness, right? Because oftentimes we've seen in history has shown us that when we are approached with sweetness, that there's something else that's underlying that is more insidious. And so we have our guards up, but to our own detriment. Right. So let's delve a little bit deeper into diabetes and the spiritual and emotional manifestations of when we cannot process sweetness. So now you hear, right? We've heard it for generations. Our elders, our ancestors have said that sugar gonna kill us. That sugar gonna kill you, baby. Watch out, right? And for many of us, it is true. But let's break it down a little bit holistically. So diabetes is about an imbalance. An imbalance. Too much, too little, too fast, or too slow. It's a struggle between excess and deprivation, right? So between taking in too much and not processing things properly. Emotionally, diabetes can be tied to that lack of sweetness, that lack of life, right? That we were just talking about. Many people who develop diabetes have had to endure hardship, emotional stress, grief, and cycles of survival that don't leave much space for joy, right? We talk a lot about center your joy, find your joy, bring your joy out. Well, when you're dealing with all these other emotions, it crowds our joy, it stifles our joy. Spiritually, it's about resentment and deep disappointments and unprocessed emotions. I know sometimes we think, okay, well, we're going to compartmentalize this thing. Like I don't have time to feel this right now. I need to put it to the side. And when we put it to the side, we leave it there for a very long time by itself to its own devices to fester and to turn into some of the darkest parts of ourselves because we don't take the time to process how we're feeling and to honor how we're feeling. Right? Like, you know, many of us are dealing with worthiness, whether you deserve certain things, whether you deserve happiness. And we have these conversations in our mind all the time. I know I have in the past around, I'm not worthy of that. I'm not deserving of that. So you reject it, right? And we don't want to process any emotion that has us to start thinking about or awakening maybe different traumas or triggers that we have that we've put to the side. So your body keeps the score. I don't care what you're thinking about you doing. You might be thinking, oh, I don't feel nothing, everything's fine. But your body It's keeping score, and it's going to show you, and it's going to show up in different ways that we don't like because we are not upfront dealing with our emotions and dealing with how things are making us feel, right? We're not robots. We are not robots. Historically, let's not forget that our ancestors worked in the sugarcane fields, okay, under brutal conditions. And that trauma didn't just disappear, it's passed down to us in our DNA. We've heard so many different things about the epigenetics and how things are coded into our DNA and how certain environmental factors may activate certain genes. And yeah, emotions, feelings from our ancestors is passed down in our DNA. Memory is held in our DNA. This is scientific. Okay. So I want everything that I say here and outside of here, do your own research. I know we've gotten to a space where we feel like, oh, if I don't have a doctorate, if I don't have a formal education around health, then I can't talk about it. Then I that's off limits for me. And I want us to get out of that. You are the expert on your body. You're the only one that knows what's happening on a cellular level, even if it's not conscious. It's a subconscious thing that you have access to. Do your research, educate yourself around this so that when you go and you talk to your doctor, you can be more of a partner with your doctor than just going in and dumping and saying, oh, well, this is what I'm dealing with. Tell me what to do, doctor. You know what to do and your body and spirit, and you can partner with your doctor in order to get the things that you need. But it's your responsibility to educate yourself, whether you get the same medical books or the books that folks are reading in medical school or herbalism books. Get the books and read them for yourself and see what resonates with you. Okay, that's my little soapbox. I'm off my soapbox. Yeah, okay. So how do we start healing? Like Shalita, I understand that. I feel that. I know it. I've heard it. I've said it. I understand it, right? We heal through our intentional nourishment, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And the plants are here to help us. Here's the herbalism part of it. So, disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical professional. You need to make sure that you check in with your doctor around any choices that you're going to make on what you're going to consume, on what the herbs you might want to incorporate, especially if you are on medications. So please, the FDA has not said anything about the efficacy of certain things, the herbs, and because you can't patent it. So I'm letting you know the FDA did not give me permission to say anything. They did not approve any of these natural remedies that our ancestors have been using for eons. Okay, so understand that. Do your due diligence, do your research, and communicate with your doctor before you do anything. But here are a few herbs that maybe you might want to look into and take it to your doctor to say, hey, I want to start using this. How can we do it? Let's come up with a plan. The first one is cinnamon. And I'm going to tell you the spiritual meaning behind it. I'm going to tell you about how the ancestors used it. I'm going to tell you about how the physical benefits of it. So the spiritual meaning, cinnamon is a warming protective herb. So it brings comfort and stimulation. It's associated with fire energy. When you take a little bit of cinnamon, it's spicy, it's hot, like not hot as in temperature, but you know what I'm talking about. Little top, what's that? Fire energy around transformation and awakening the spirit. The planetary correspondence is the sun, right? So when you think of fire, you think of the properties of cinnamon, hot, as far as that type of heat. We think about the sun, which is life-giving, illuminating, and energizing. The cinnamon brings warmth and circulation where there is stagnation. Okay? So it also can help the blood to move and to flow, right? Especially when you're talking about clots and things like that. Now, how does this help? So when we talk about the indications is how does the particular plant assist you? It helps regulate blood sugar levels by improving your insulin sensitivity. It supports circulation and prevents cold extremities, a common issue for diabetics. I'm not diabetic, but I'm always cold. I've always been cold my whole life. Cold, 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 cold. It aids in digestion and reduces sugar cravings naturally. Contraindications, you want to avoid it in large doses. Y'all saw the cinnamon challenge that was going on some years ago with the kids that was taking a whole bunch of cinnamon in and without water. And then I feel like a couple of folks actually died from playing around like that, right? So you don't want to take it in large doses, especially if you have a bleeding disorder, because cinnamon can thin the blood. So again, if you're on blood thinners or any type of medication that cinnamon could interact with, you definitely need to talk to your doctor before you use it. And also cinnamon can be a little bit too warming for some folks. So if you are already, run hot, if you're always hot all the time, want to be, steer clear of too much cinnamon or cinnamon altogether. There are plenty of other plant medicines that you can use that won't interfere with or clash with your natural energetics. Right. Our ancestors used to use cinnamon for spiritual protection, and people still use it for spiritual protection and to add when you with your intentions, your affirmations, to add power and to send them out into the world, with intention. Cinnamon is used often for that. It's added to food for warmth and preservation, helped preserve the food, and also burned in rituals to attract abundance and strength. All right. So cinnamon is your ally. Cinnamon is more than just the superficial, oh, it tastes good. Oh, put a little cinnamon on it. It's a lot deeper than that. Just as diabetes is a lot deeper than just your body not being able to process sugar appropriately. Now we have burdock root, right? Articum lapa is the Latin name for burdock root. The spiritual meaning of burdock root, it's deeply grounding and detoxifying. It helps us to release emotional baggage and stagnant energy stored in the body, and it encourages cleansing and renewal. The planetary correspondence, Venus and Earth. So we know with Venus, they love, balancing, harmonizing, and nourishing. Burdock teaches us patience and healing. How does it help you? So it supports the liver and your kidneys, which are essential for detoxing excess sugar from the blood. Right. So might also notice that folks who are living with diabetes have to urinate a lot, that's the only way for the body to get rid of the excess sugar that's in the body, because the body doesn't naturally recognize the sugar to be able to break it down. So it sits there, and the only way for the body to get rid of it is through urination. One of the ways is through urination. And so if you're always urinating all the time, it could be taxing on your kidneys. So that's, not to say that everybody that urinates a lot or goes to the bathroom a lot is dealing with diabetes. We are more complex than that, but it could be something, indication is something to look into. It also helps with inflammation and skin issues, which is also common in people who are living with diabetes. Whenever I see somebody that has a lot of acne, it also speaks to the digestive issues in your digestive system, and your inability to be able to break down certain things. Food, let's take it external. Also, information, maybe situations that you're in, being able to process certain things and get rid of things that no longer serve you, right? Like you're having issues with that, it's going to show up in your body. And it's also a natural prebiotic. So it feeds the gut bacteria and it helps regulate metabolism. Now, you want to avoid burdock if you have severe dehydration, because like I said, it helps you. It's a diuretic. It makes you pee. And you want to stay away from that if you're already dehydrated. You need to keep water in your body. It can also interact with some of your diabetes medications. It could further lower your blood sugar levels. So again, you want to make sure you check in with your doctor about that before you use it. Our ancestors used it in purification rituals and as a tonic for those coming out of long illnesses with spiritual traditions. Like with burdock root, you can powder it. It's actually in my ancestors drink, my clean house detox powder, and it's roasted and has this delicious like coffee substitute type taste to it. But you can also, like fresh burdock root, cut up the root and put it in stews and soups and eat it that way. When we talk about eating your medicine, eat your medicine, right? There's so many different ways to consume it. And Black herbalists historically use burdock to draw out toxins and strengthen the body's ability to adapt. Right? So that's burdock root. Got to look some burdock root. Fenugreek. Fenugreek. You know, you heard about the fenugreek. It represents abundance, fertility, and renewal. And it's been used as a symbol of healing and nourishment in African and Middle Eastern traditions. The planetary correspondence is Mercury, right? Quick moving, adaptable, and balancing. Fenugreek helps to regulate fluctuations in the blood sugar and in your energy. Now, how does it help you? It improves insulin function and helps stabilize energy levels. It supports digestion and reduces sugar cravings. It encourages the body to absorb nutrients more efficiently, preventing nutrient depletion in diabetics. But you need to stay away from it if or be careful in situations where because it can lower blood sugar a little bit too much. Like if you're taking high doses of it with your medication, it could lower your blood sugar too much. So this is another plant that you just to be careful of, checking with your doctor about, and avoid it if you're pregnant because it can stimulate uterine contractions. Okay, our ancestors used fenugreek in African and Caribbean cooking for flavor and medicinal benefits. And it was also given to postpartum women for healing, nourishment, and balancing blood sugar. Now, look, you can count on me to tell you the things that maybe you don't want to hear, but you know that it's coming from a place of love and a place of care. We have to really look at what we're consuming. When we talk about diabetes and any other issue that is a little bit more prevalent in our community than in others, we have to look at what are you consuming. And I've said this in the anger video, when we talk about anger, the liver, and detoxing, that what you're consuming, people, places, things, food, we have to pay better attention to. And it's not just about stuff being in moderation. Oh, that's in moderation. We passed that. There's certain things you just got to stay away from if you want to live. White sugar is a drug. That's why we all addicted to it. That's why we all out here trying to figure out how to slowly cut it out of our diet, how to do different things to trick ourselves so that we're not eating sugar. It is addictive. So don't be so hard on yourself and be like, why can't I kick it? Because it's a drug. It is a drug. This is science. You can read about it. Research has been done on it. White sugar is in everything that's especially processed, the processed foods that we're eating. I know it's like a broken record. We get tired of hearing it. We get tired of saying it. We get tired of people saying it, that you have to watch what you eat, what you put in your body. And we've gotten so comfortable in this country, right, with having access to all different kinds of things that placate us, that pacify us, so that we endure whatever else is going on around us. Y'all, this is a psychological situation that we're dealing with now. So white rice, bleached white flour, white sugar, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. It is slowly killing us. And by the way of diabetes, it's the sugar, right? And I know it kind of feels like sometimes we're like, well, subconsciously we are consuming the very things that we need more of, right? That we feel like our body is not recognizing that we already have sweetness, we already have sugar, we already have so much to be grateful for, but we can't see it. There's something that's blocking us from being able to see it. And so we consume and go and trying to find this thing in all the wrong forms. Sounds familiar? Right? You're trying to find it in all the wrong forms. And in this case, with diabetes, we're trying to find it in sugar. We're trying to find it in cookies, candy. And just like with the sugar, salt also, right? Another book that you should get is African Holistic Health by Dr. Africa. And he goes into detail about, and that's why I love this book, because he speaks about health, that centering melanated experiences and the melanated constituencies of the body, right? Like there are differences where melanin is present in our bodies, Our bodies react differently than when it isn't present. And we need to be able to know about those things. A lot of the research that has been done out here has not been done on Black people or people of color. But yet medicines and solutions and all that has been formulated for the people who are being researched on. That is not us. So, seek out information. I just gave you one to look into, and think you can get it off of Amazon, to start looking at all of the different illnesses and diseases that we experience in our bodies and what is causing them on the physical, emotional, spiritual planes. We have to have the whole picture. You know what they say? You got to have your whole holistic health picture. You got to have everything in order to make sound decisions and healthy decisions. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do. That's what I'm encouraging us to do. Cut out the sugar, right? There's so many substitutions nowadays for it. And also be kind and sweet to yourself. That's the emotional, spiritual element of it. Is we're harder on ourselves than anybody else could ever be. Nobody can be harder on you than you. Work on getting to a space where you can receive sweetness, and that you recognize first the sweetness that you already have in your possession, and your mind and your body and spirit. You are already sweet, and you deserve sweetness. You don't need any artificial forms of it, because you already have the real deal. Okay? All right. So we can agree that we're going to pay more attention to what we're consuming. We're going to cut out white sugar, white rice, white flour, right? Like, cut it out. Okay, we're going to cut it out. We're going to watch what we're eating. We're going to move. Right? These are things that we already, you got it. You don't want to say exercise? Okay, I won't say it. But you got to move your body consistently with intention, right? Like, oh, I'm walking to the refrigerator. That don't count. Overeating. You ain't hungry. What you just ate. You ain't hungry. You're eating to satisfy an emotion. Spend some time with yourself and to figure out where your hangups are, because you can get yourself out of it. You don't have to live with it. You can heal from it. Okay? So that is all that I have for you. I mean, I have so much more. I could just keep on going, but I want to keep these short and sweet for you. Okay? So diabetes is more than a physical imbalance. Okay? It's about how we take in and process the sweetness of life. And we can start healing and by bringing more intentionality into our food, our emotions, and our relationship with sugar. Right? Let me know in the comments, have any of these herbs that I talked about work for you? Like, how do you use them? What medicines have you made? What has your experience been? And if you're ready to dive deeper into holistic wellness, listen, subscribe and turn on your notifications, because I've got even more information to give, more plant medicine wisdom to share. Stay nourished, stay blessed, and I'll see y'all in the next episode.